This began airing in 2012, 4 years after its predecessor, Avatar: The Last Airbender, finished airing. Originally, The Legend of Korra was going to be a miniseries that only lasted 12 episodes, and that would have been it. But as a follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender, that original concept was very short. In time, Nickelodeon did order new episodes for The Legend of Korra. It went from 12 to 26. And then they ordered 2 more seasons, now expanding the show to 52 episodes. And ever since The Legend of Korra finished airing in 2014, as well as me starting this reviewing run a year later in 2015 on this channel, it's about time that I talk about The Legend of Korra. And of course, I'm starting with Book 1, Air. Now, seeing as how Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows of all time, I knew it was going to be a tough act to follow when The Legend of Korra was announced and when its initial 12-episode run was going through. However, I did have some anticipation going into the show weekly because maybe it might have some fresh ideas that help differ from its mighty predecessor. And The Legend of Korra does present some fresh ideas. For instance, the 1920s aesthetic. Seeing as how The Legend of Korra is set 70 years after Avatar: The Last Airbender, I actually like this aesthetic. It actually makes The Legend of Korra stand out visually in comparison to Avatar: The Last Airbender. One of the few things that The Legend of Korra has over Avatar: The Last Airbender is its animation. Seeing as how The Legend of Korra began 4 years after Avatar: The Last Airbender ended, I did expect the animation to be more improved with The Legend of Korra in comparison to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I still think has good animation for a television show back in the 2000s. But this is 2012 we're talking about, and the animation in The Legend of Korra, at least for its first season, is great. It especially stands out during action scenes as well as even scenes involving snow. Another thing that stands out in The Legend of Korra is its music. While it does have a different soundscape of instruments used for its soundtrack, it is on equal footing with the soundtrack of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Don't be surprised if anyone out there compares The Legend of Korra to Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're both part of the same franchises, and really the big comparison point is, does The Legend of Korra improve from Avatar: The Last Airbender? And to give you that answer, if you must ask me, it would be yes and no. There are some improvements, but not everything is an improvement from Avatar: The Last Airbender. One of my cases in points would be the characters, which I think are fine in regards to Book 1 Air, but the characterization could have been more than what Book 1 Air is offering. Then again, this was intended to be a miniseries from the start. So don't expect strong characterization like Avatar: The Last Airbender through The Legend of Korra. However, I do have some issues with Book 1 Air in regards to plot. One of them especially is the pacing. There is a sport that is shown in the first half of The Legend of Korra Book 1 Air, but I think they dedicated a little too much time. I would have been fine with a couple episodes being dedicated to Korra participating in this sport. Now, there's also some Deus Ex Machina slapped in at the end of Book 1 Air, and I wasn't really buying into it. I actually found it pretty cheap. And as I said, I consider The Legend of Korra Book 1 Air to be the strongest season that The Legend of Korra has to offer, because the next 3 seasons that follow, ooh boy, do I have something to say about them. I'm going to be shooting an 8.5 out of 10 for The Legend of Korra Book 1 Air. I'll be meditating my thoughts for my next review, so until then, I'll see you later.